If you're a U.S. citizen with dual citizenship, a green card holder, or someone waiting for immigration approval, you may have seen recent headlines about new passport updates that mention dual citizens. And if those headlines made you worried, confused, or even scared, I want you to take a breath, because that is exactly why I am here today. My name is David, and my goal in this video is not to scare you. It is not to create panic, it is to explain calmly and clearly what is actually happening, who it affects, and most importantly, who it does not affect. I have been covering U.S. immigration news for years, and I have learned that fear spreads faster than facts. So today, we are going to slow down, go through the details together, and replace confusion with clarity. I want you to feel informed, not anxious. I want you to understand the truth, not the rumors. So stay with me until the end, because by the time we finish, you will know exactly what this update means for you and your family. Before we begin, I need to say something important. I am not a lawyer, I am not a government official, I am not giving you legal advice. What I am doing is taking complicated government policies and breaking them down into simple, clear language so that everyday people like you and me can understand what is going on. If you have a specific legal question about your own case, you should speak with a licensed immigration attorney, but if you just want to understand the bigger picture without all the legal jargon, that is what I am here for. So let us get started. The first thing I want to address is the headline itself. New passport update for all dual citizens. When you see a headline like that, it sounds urgent. It sounds like something just changed overnight that is going to affect millions of people. But here's the reality. There is no brand new law that suddenly appeared last week targeting dual citizens. What we are actually seeing is renewed attention on existing rules, clarifications from the State Department, and in some cases, stricter enforcement of policies that have been on the books for years. This does not mean nothing is happening. It means we need to understand what is actually changing versus what has always been there but is now being talked about more online. So let us talk about dual citizenship first, because this is where a lot of the confusion starts. Dual citizenship means you are a citizen of two countries at the same time. For example, you might be a U.S. citizen and also a citizen of Mexico, India, the Philippines, Canada, or any other country. The United States allows dual citizenship. That means you do not have to give up your original citizenship when you become a U.S. citizen. Many people do not realize this, but the U.S. does not require you to renounce your other nationality. Some countries do require it, but the U.S. does not. So if you are a naturalized U.S. citizen and you still have your original passport from your home country, that is completely legal. You are allowed to have both. Now, here's where people start to worry. They hear the word passport update and they think, does this mean I cannot have two passports anymore? Am I going to lose my U.S. citizenship if I travel on my other passport? Am I doing something wrong by keeping my original nationality? And the answer to all of those questions is no. You are not doing anything wrong. Dual citizenship is recognized and accepted. The update that people are talking about does not change that fundamental fact. So what is the update actually about? It is about passport applications, renewals, and the questions that the State Department asks when you apply. In recent months, some applicants have reported being asked more detailed questions about their other citizenships, their travel history, and their ties to other countries. Some people have been asked to provide additional documentation. Some applications have taken longer to process, and in very rare cases, some people have been referred for additional review. This has caused concern, especially among people who have had dual citizenship for years without any issues. They are asking, why now? Why is this happening? And that is a fair question. The reason is not because dual citizenship suddenly became illegal. The reason is because the U.S. government has always had the responsibility to verify that the person applying for a U.S. passport is truly entitled to one. That means confirming that you are a U.S. citizen, that your citizenship was obtained legally, and that there are no issues with fraud or misrepresentation. This has always been the case. But in recent years, especially after concerns about security, identity verification, and immigration fraud, the State Department has been more thorough in reviewing applications. That does not mean they are targeting dual citizens. It means they are doing more detailed checks across the board. Let me be very clear about who this affects and who it does not affect. If you are a U.S. citizen, whether you were born here or naturalized, and you obtained your citizenship legally and honestly, this update does not threaten your status. Your citizenship is not going to be taken away because you have a second passport. Your U.S. passport is not going to be denied because you were born in another country. The vast majority of dual citizens will experience absolutely no issues when they apply for or renew their passport. They will fill out the application, provide the required documents, wait for processing, and receive their passport just like always. However, there are some people who may experience delays or additional questions. Who are they? They are people whose citizenship history is more complex. For example, if you became a U.S. citizen through naturalization, and during that process there were any inconsistencies in your paperwork, or if you failed to disclose certain information, or if there is any reason to believe that your naturalization was obtained through fraud or misrepresentation, then yes, the State Department may take a closer look. But I want to emphasize something very important. Making a mistake on a form is not the same as committing fraud. If you accidentally put the wrong date on a document 10 years ago, that is not fraud. Fraud means intentionally lying or hiding information in order to gain immigration benefits you are not entitled to. The government understands the difference. Courts understand the difference. And unless there is clear evidence of intentional deception, your citizenship is not at risk. Let me give you a realistic example. Imagine someone who became a U.S. citizen 15 years ago. During their naturalization interview, they were asked if they had ever been arrested. They said no, but in reality, they had been arrested once many years earlier for a minor traffic violation, and they forgot about it. Years later, when they apply to renew their passport, the State Department runs a background check and finds that old arrest record. Does this mean they are going to lose their citizenship? No. It means they may be asked to explain the discrepancy. They may need to provide court documents showing what the charge was and how it was resolved. It may delay their passport renewal by a few weeks or months, but unless that arrest was for something serious and unless they intentionally lied about it to hide criminal activity, their citizenship is not in danger. Now let us talk about a different scenario. What if someone became a U.S. citizen, but they did so by lying about their entire identity? What if they used a fake name, fake documents, and fake history to get a green card and then citizenship? In that case, yes, the government has the legal authority to investigate and potentially revoke that citizenship. But this is extremely rare. This is not something that happens to people who made honest mistakes. This is not something that happens to people who have been living normal, law-abiding lives. This is reserved for cases of serious fraud that go to the heart of someone's eligibility for citizenship in the first place. I am explaining this because I want you to understand the difference between what the law allows in extreme cases and what actually happens to everyday people. The law gives the government the power to denaturalize someone in cases of fraud, but that power is used very rarely, and it always involves a lengthy legal process, court hearings, and the opportunity for the person to defend themselves. It is not something that happens overnight. It is not something that happens without evidence, and it is not something that the average dual citizen needs to worry about. So, why are people worried? Because the internet is full of scary headlines. Because viral posts on social media make it sound like everyone with dual citizenship is at risk. Because people read about one person who had an issue and they assume it is going to happen to them. And I understand that fear. Immigration is personal. Citizenship is precious. When you hear that something might threaten it, of course you are going to be concerned. But that is why it is so important to separate fear from facts. Here is the fact. If you are a U.S. citizen and you obtain that citizenship legally, your status is secure. Dual citizenship does not change that. Having a second passport does not change that. Traveling to your home country does not change that. The U.S. government recognizes and accepts dual citizenship. You are not required to choose. You are not required to give up one or the other. You are allowed to be both. And the so-called passport update is not a policy that targets you. It is simply a more thorough review process that applies to everyone, not just dual citizens. Now let me address some of the common myths that I have seen online. Myth number 1. If you use your foreign passport to travel, you will lose your U.S. citizenship. This is false. You are allowed to use your foreign passport to enter and exit your home country. In fact, some countries require their citizens to use their national passport when entering. This does not mean you are renouncing your U.S. citizenship. It simply means you are exercising your rights as a citizen of that country. However, when you return to the United States, you should always use your U.S. passport. That is the rule. U.S. citizens must enter the U.S. on a U.S. passport, but using another passport abroad does not put your citizenship at risk. Myth number 2. If you spend too much time in your home country, the U.S. government will think you are not loyal and take away your citizenship. This is also false. There is no law that says U.S. citizens must live in the United States full-time. You are allowed to travel. You are allowed to live abroad. You are allowed to maintain ties to your home country. The concept of loyalty does come up in very rare cases involving things like serving in a foreign military or working for a foreign government in a policy-making role. But simply spending time with family, owning property, or doing business in another country does not affect your U.S. citizenship. Myth number 3, if you apply for a passport and they ask extra questions, it means you are under investigation and you should be scared. Not true. Additional questions do not mean you are in trouble. They mean the State Department wants to verify something. Maybe they need a copy of your naturalization certificate. Maybe they need proof of your name change after marriage. Maybe they need clarification on your travel dates. This is routine administrative review. It is not an investigation. It does not mean you did something wrong. It just means they need more information to complete your application. Let me also talk about processing times, because this ties into the broader issue of delays. Right now, passport processing times are longer than they used to be. Even for people with no complications, even for people who were born in the US and have never had dual citizenship, passport renewals are taking longer. Why? Because the State Department is dealing with a backlog, because there are staffing shortages, because demand is high. This is not unique to dual citizens. This is affecting everyone. So if you apply for your passport and it takes 8 weeks instead of 4, that does not mean something is wrong with your case. It means the system is slow. And if you are someone with dual citizenship and your application takes a little longer because they are verifying your naturalization documents, that is still normal. It is frustrating, yes, but it is not a sign of danger. Now let us talk about what you should do. If you are a US citizen with dual citizenship and you need to apply for or renew your passport, here is my advice. First, gather all your documents carefully. Make sure you have your naturalization certificate if you are a naturalized citizen, your birth certificate if you were born in the US, and any supporting documents like marriage certificates or legal name change orders. Second, fill out the application completely and honestly. Do not leave blanks. Do not guess. If you are not sure about something, take the time to find the correct information. Third, apply early. Do not wait until 2 weeks before your trip. Give yourself plenty of time in case there are delays. Fourth, if you are asked for additional documents, provide them promptly. Do not panic. Just respond to what they are asking for. And fifth, if you are truly concerned about your situation because you know there was an issue in your past, talk to an immigration attorney. They can review your history and give you specific advice. What should you not do? Do not ignore a request from the State Department. If they ask for more information, respond. Do not assume that silence means approval. Do not rush to social media to panic. Do not believe every viral post you see claiming that all dual citizens are being targeted. And do not assume that because your friend had a delay, you will too. Every case is different. I also want to talk about green card holders because many of you watching are not citizens yet, but you are on your way. If you are a green card holder, this passport update does not apply to you directly because you do not have a US passport. You have a passport from your home country and a green card. But you may be wondering, if I become a US citizen, will I face problems because I am from another country? The answer is no. Naturalization is a legal process. When you become a US citizen, you do so by meeting all the requirements, passing the test, attending the interview, and taking the oath. Once you are a citizen, you are a citizen. The fact that you were born elsewhere does not make you a second-class citizen. It does not make your citizenship less secure, and it does not mean you will automatically have problems with your passport in the future. For those of you who are still waiting for your green card or waiting for your citizenship interview, I know this process feels long. I know it feels uncertain. I know you check your case status every day and wonder why it is taking so long. I want you to know that you are not alone. Processing times for green cards, naturalization applications, and visa interviews are longer than they have been in years. USCIS is dealing with millions of pending cases. Some people wait months just for an interview to be scheduled. Some people wait even longer for a decision. This does not mean your case is in trouble. It means the system is overwhelmed. And while that is frustrating, it is also normal right now. Keep checking your status, keep your documents ready, keep your address updated with USCIS, and be patient, your turn will come. Let me also address the emotional side of all of this, because I know that immigration is not just about paperwork. It is about your life. It is about your family. It is about your sense of security and belonging. When you see a headline that says something about dual citizens and passports, it can trigger all kinds of fears. You start thinking, what if they find out something I did not know I needed to report? What if they deny my application? What if I lose everything I have worked for? And I want you to take a breath and remember this. The immigration system, for all its flaws and delays, is built on rules and procedures. It is not random. It is not designed to trick you or trap you. If you follow the rules, told the truth, and did what you were supposed to do, you are going to be okay. Yes, the system is slow. Yes, it can be confusing. Yes, it can feel like you are waiting forever for answers. But that does not mean something bad is happening behind the scenes. Most of the time, silence just means processing. Most of the time, delays just mean backlogs. Most of the time, additional questions just mean verification. You are not under attack. Your status is not being secretly undermined. The system is just slow and thorough, and that applies to everyone. I also want to say this. If you are a senior, if you are someone who came to this country decades ago, worked hard, raised your family, became a citizen, and built a life here, you are not going to lose that because of a passport renewal. Your citizenship is not fragile. It is protected by law. It was earned. And unless there is clear evidence of fraud at the time you obtained it, which is extremely rare, it is not going to be taken away. You deserve to feel secure, you deserve to feel at peace, and you deserve to know that the rules are on your side. So let me summarize everything we have talked about today. The so-called new passport update for dual citizens is not a new law targeting people with two passports. It is a continuation of existing policies with some additional scrutiny during the application process. Dual citizenship is legal and accepted in the United States. You are allowed to have two passports. You are allowed to travel to your home country. You are allowed to maintain ties to both places. The State Department may ask additional questions during your passport application, especially if you are a naturalized citizen, but this does not mean you are in trouble. It means they are verifying your documents. Processing times are longer for everyone right now, not just dual citizens. If you obtained your citizenship legally and honestly, your status is secure. Mistakes on old paperwork are not the same as fraud, and the government knows the difference. If you are asked for more information, respond calmly and provide what is requested. And if you are truly concerned about your specific situation, consult with an immigration attorney who can review your case. The bottom line is this: the system is complicated, but it is also structured. It moves slowly, but it follows rules. And while it is natural to feel anxious when you see headlines like this, the reality is that most people have nothing to worry about. Your citizenship is not under attack. Your passport is not going to be denied for no reason. And dual citizenship is not a liability. It is simply a reflection of your unique story, your journey, and your connection to more than one place in the world. I hope this video has given you clarity. I hope it has replaced some of your fear with understanding, and I hope you feel more confident moving forward, whether you are applying for a passport, waiting for your green card, or just trying to make sense of the news. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it if you would leave a comment below. Let me know where you are in your immigration journey. Let me know if there are other topics you would like me to cover, and if you know someone who might be worried about this issue, please share this video with them. The more people who understand the truth, the less power fear has to spread. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for trusting me to explain this, and remember, you are not alone in this process. Stay informed, stay calm, and take things one step at a time. Everything is going to be okay. Sonnet 4.5.